Good evening, all. Welcome to the webinar on touch-free workplace. I would like to thank each of you for making out time and being part of this. I will leave the introduction part to Renuka and covering the background of the topic. And I would like to touch upon what is important for us is the current and the future stage of our FM facilities, how are we going to operate, how are the facilities are going to be, right? So this is where we thought that this topic is going to be more relevant in current scenario and also what is that we are creating for future. And we have the panel members and also moderator, and it's been driven from IFMA and also supported by Ergon. IFMA is a not-for-profit organization focusing on education, networking, and also benchmarking studies. And in the last 2 years, we've been focusing on education in India. Upskilling is reskilling is what is critical and important for us. And now most of the companies are moving towards wellness at workplace, where Ergon is completely coming up with the solutions. What is that it can provide the solutions, more of a solution oriented with respect to the wellness at workplace. That is where the focus is from the Ergon. And I would like to welcome Renuka Rajagopal, who is heading VMware India as a Senior Director, Real Estate and Workplace. And she's also a co-counselor for the VM Inclusion India chapter and a business-led initiative that is focused on creating culture that is inclusive of all form of diversity. Welcome, Renuka. And Renuka is going to be moderating the session. And we have Nitish Murthy with 20 years of experience, who is heading facility management group Brilio. And he has also worked with Tech Mahindra, G and other companies. Welcome, Nitish.
Thank you.
And we have Nagendra Sharma with 20 plus years of experience, heading India property operation at Telstra, and he's been worked in Infosys, IBM, Oracle, and G. Welcome, Nagendra. And we have Nachiket, who is APAC head for Syngenta, again about 15 to 18 years of experience. Welcome, Nachiket. We have Jyotish, who is leading Redbus as the Theory and Facilities Administration. Welcome, Jyotish. And we have Ashish, who have worked with Paytm, Uber, managing the corporate real estate, holding a portion of AVP with about 15 plus years of experience. Welcome, Ashish. And we have Sachin Shastri from the industry, Dormakaba, and he is heading architectural specification as a national manager. Also 20 years of experience in the industry, bringing the changes. Welcome, Sachin. Thank you all, and we are again welcome you all to interactive session. Over to you, Renuka. You're on mute.
Okay, now
we can hear you.
Yeah, thanks. So thank you so much, Basvaraj. Thanks for the warm welcome. Big hi to my fellow panelists and everybody who's attending this webinar today. We hope all of you are safe, in good health, and staying strong. Thank you to Basvaraj and team for putting this session together on touch-free workplace. In today's session, we are going to have an engaging discussion with the esteemed panel on a topic that's recent and is important for the safety and well-being of people as our offices reopen. All of us are going through some change or other since March mid, in one way or the other. It's impacting all of us. While in the beginning of the year, we didn't expect any of this, continuing to adapt to changes, to keep learning something new has become a part of our life. In today's discussion, as we go through the topic, it would appear that it will be more from a IT industry lens, IT and ITES industry, while I'm conscious that among this esteemed audience, we would have representation from other industries as well. Many of the aspects that is being discussed today will have common threads with other industries too. So please bear with us as we go through the session. The structure of the session is as follows. We would have a panel discussion for about 40 minutes, followed by the Q&A. Now on to the topic. The future of the office, the way we work, is going to see a change as offices reopen in the next few months. While in the coming months, work from office could be optional in many of our companies and may not be mandatory depending on the nature of the work and in the industry we are in. While at the same time, many offices across varied industries, depending on the nature of the work, are having the most essential services function from office. There are many of us who continue to work from home and remotely as we speak. As we reopen the offices, safety being paramount, how to enable safe and touch-free workplaces is becoming the need of the hour. There have been some fabulous innovations and ideas by teams within the organizations and experts in the industry, and there are several aspects to be, at the same time, there are several aspects to be factored to enable a sustained approach and experience. The discussion today would include what is the current status, what is it that the people are expecting, or what's the experience that we are going to give as we reopen the offices, what needs to change for the people, the various touch points that is getting addressed in most of the organizations, what we know about, the importance of technology and digitization, how is it going to impact the people who are supporting us to give the employees experience, the change to the scope or KPIs if that's a need that's going to come up, and how do we address the sustainability initiatives and requirements, and long term, what's the impact on the projects that we do, as well as we look at the due diligence of to cover. So these are some of the topics, and it's quite broad, and we'll try to cover as much as possible through these discussions and with this expert panel. Let's say that we are exercising new muscles to find out new ways to address the challenges that we have been witnessing and ahead of us. So with that, let me just get started on with the first question. My first question is to Jyotish, and I would like Sachin to add on a few more points to what Jyotish would be talking about. So Jyotish, as we reopen offices across locations, an important aspect is safety, well-being, and the health of the employee. At the same time, providing trust and confidence to get them back to a safe workplace. As we walk through the day in the life of an employee at workplace during a day and the various touch points, what are the various factors to be looked at from entry to exit?
Right.
Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Renuka. Thanks, Renuka, for the question. That was a wonderful background that you have given already for the panel discussion. Just to come to the point, a few offices were already opened a couple of months back, and I think most of us have already did a bit of exercise to ensure that we make our workplace touch-free to the maximum extent we can do. And nevertheless, now the time is that in the long run, we might have to switch on to a new normal. Given that fact, I think the first important aspect as facility leaders in any organization is to first study the life cycle of the entire employee movement from the entry to the exit point, or rather, as you said, day in life of employee movements. So when we study that itself, we can understand the basics, that starting from the entrance and the lift lobbies, how do you manage that? How do employees interact with the lifts, the lift buttons, measures as FM leaders we can take to ensure that they don't touch directly with their hands or arms, and instead we do some practices of automation. Then there are other, the next touch point comes to the reception area, where you used to have biometric readers, access points. Right now we have come moving into access readers and proximity readers, where you don't have to touch it physically. Right, and thermometer checks are happening. There are facial recognition devices which have been introduced in the market that can automatically track the attendance of the employee through the facial recognition. Also, the temperature check can also be arrived at. So this once they move to the reception and in time get inside the workplace, then it comes to the workstation areas or the desktops areas, where we need to ensure that we have proper measures in place and they don't feel kind of uncomfortable in touching the areas. Now, the innovation that I want to talk about is that I personally liked and also implemented in my organization is the key. I'm sure all of you know the key, the new key that is in the industry. People have various names for it. We named it as R key. That has definitely been a local innovation that has helped us to give a lot of confidence in employees, and that has given a wow factor to the management as well as each employee, and a confidence in them to use it everywhere whenever they move around the offices, including the doors, while handling the doorknobs, even while touching the dispensers, which are steps, which cannot have a foot pedal, a foot pedal model, and even use the machines, the printers, etc. So that is one measure that we can think about implementing. Then various sanitizing stations in common areas where people can the touchless sanitizing stations where people can use the station to sanitize their hands, even the R keys, when they move around, right? And then in the restrooms also we have sensor. I'm sure many of us have already implemented and might have had since inception the sensor taps. So that also allows a lot of touch by different people when moving around. Yeah, so I think in a nutshell, we almost tend to cover some 70 to 80% of the areas where there are where we see a possibility of touch happening by the employees as well as the third-party staff, and I think that's where we can bring in these measures.
Thank you. Sachin, you want to add on?
Yeah, some points which become very relevant, as people come back to their offices and what they are looking at when they return to their offices. First, am I audible clearly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so a few points which were becoming very, very important that I thought is important here is one is to address, ease of use and also the ease of adaptation. While we speak about different things that would come inside as a new normal, there are also it's also important to know if people will be able to use it very easily, or if they are required to do different types of things, then it's going to be difficult. And that is from that perspective, we have to look at how we can address those slippages. Like somebody has to check if he's wearing a mask or not. He's got an elevated body temperature. It's going to be a manual procedure. Chances of a human error are always there, and that is where automation needs to come inside. It's also important to know if also address things like can we move from doing something from a physical platform to doing something on a online platform, probably through a mobile phone or through BLA based application. Most importantly, what is important when we address touch free is to know there are two types of solutions. One is hygiene touch solutions, which are indirect touch solutions like a foot operated door opener or might be elbow opener, something like that. And another one is what I would call as a touch free operation, which is more automation that you are seeing on the video going around. So it is important to know where to use what on those on locations where there is going to be high frequency, where the chances of an infection are very high. Probably the main entrance door of the office, or might be the toilet entrances, or might be the cafeteria entrances. These are locations where we definitely need to look at touch-free application. But in other locations where the frequency is lower, probably hygiene touch solutions, that is, the usage of the key as Jyotish said, or might be the usage of operated door openers or elbow openers. These are things which can be used over there. Of course, all this without compromising, aspects of fire rating, life safety, or even access control. So without compromising on life safety, fire safety, we have to ensure all these things are taken care of. That's what I have to say. Yeah, and back to you, Renika.
Thank you, Sachin. Thank you, Jyotish. I think that's a great insight. So as we look at the touch-free workplace and the employee aspect of it, the next part, I think, something that we really need to start working on, or maybe advance, is on technology. So my question is like, how is technology going to support the touch-free requirements? Across the past few years, what we have seen is the emergence of touch-based technology. That is, like you rightly mentioned, the kiosk for employee services. We do have the wayfinders, visitor management system, tablets for conference room booking, which is there in front of the meeting rooms, touch-based AV technology in the meeting rooms, etc. How do you see that changing? Is there a possibility of an interim solutions, or are we looking at long-term solutions as we speak? How do you see the future emerging in this segment? Ashish, over to you. Ashish, can you hear? You have to unmute. Hello? Ashish? Achike, do you want to add, get started? Because
Sure, Renuka. I can take that till Ashish takes over. Is that fine?
yeah, please.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my views on this. I would answer this in a couple of pointers, and I would start off by saying you need to put your people first. And what I mean by that is there's already so much of things going around us. We actually need to see what does the audience need. Every site is different. Today what we are sharing is just our views, but you as the frontline leaders out there know exactly, or the pulse of your audience and your employees, what do they really want. Second would be, keep it very simple. It can be very overwhelming to all the needs, to cater all the requirements, but we need to prioritize them. And when I mean keep it simple, you need to follow the 80-20 rule. You cannot boil the ocean. You need to target the first 20%, which will impact the 80%. Last on the list would be focus. While your focus should be on your short term, but you need to plan for your long term. And technology is one such thing. It's a journey. You cannot change things overnight. Your technology roadmap should cover and integrate with your corporate needs. You cannot be driving it independently with your agenda without aligning with your corporate needs. And SaaS is the way forward. So what would it take for SaaS enabled technologies to adapt into your system ecosystem is the key. And I can talk about technology. I'll rather cite few examples where you can pick up and think through of what is actually required for on your side. We have a lot of companies flood the market today after this pandemic. We have seen thermal scanning cameras. We have seen facial recognition attendance systems. Jyoti just mentioned that the biometrics is done away with now. Who thought? I mean, at one point in time, biometrics was the key. Everybody wanted to go in for the thumb scanners, for etc. But today they want touchless. So this is evolving, right? So how do you migrate from a biometrics to an app-based, face-based, face recognition apps? Sachin spoke about lifts. We have seen QR code based lifts. All you got to do is scan the QR code from your phone, enter the destination, there you go. Jyotish also spoke about digital visitor management system. We always had one, but today we have to evolve by pre-filling it. Give your visitor a chance to have it input from his mobile. Why does he have to come and touch your app on your desk? He can do it via his phone. All he has to come to your facility, display his ID card, or even that he can just upload it via a soft copy and just take a picture when he arrives at your reception. You have now when your employees get in, you also have beverage dispensing machines, which are again app-based QR code. So it's all technology driven now. Digital cafe systems where the footfall is high and you don't want your employees to come and wait till the food has been ordered, served, paid. It can be done from your desk. An employee can order, choose, and again, this is for a system where the footfall is high. You have a cafeteria, bigger cafeteria. For those who do not have that luxury, you can always tie up with app-based or technology-based cafeterias where you get, and trust me, these days you get 24/7 online feed from the kitchen directly. So this was on the employee side. What about us? What about our people who run the business from the back end? You have your teams need not go to the critical areas where they can just go and have, you can have your remote monitoring data loggers for your critical areas like your UPS, your server rooms, your data centers, everywhere, right? Your PM activities, do we still maintain it on paper? Some of us, yes. Why don't we move it to digital log sheets? One repository, right? Integration of BMS, automation of your lights, lux levels, fresh air intake during this pandemic is the key. I mean, it's the hot topic. How much of fresh air do we let in? Let the technology drive it for you. I mean, I can go on with such examples, but I think Ashish, also my fellow panelist, has some insights. Ashish, if you're back, can you take this?
Yes, Tishika, thank you. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes,
Perfect.
we can.
Sorry, I apologize
Thank you,
due to
Nachiket.
bad weather in Delhi. My laptop was cooled because of the Wi-Fi. Anyways, I'm back on call. Thanks, Nachiket. And yes, as you rightly mentioned, technology is something now we need to work on, and we need to ensure that we integrate it with our facilities. While technology was always available with us, it's just a matter of fact that we were not ready to accept as part of our system. Now, talking about meeting room bookings, talking about sensors, let's talk about the work area. Is it important? What is important for us is the safety of the employees, and the technology of interface camera, wherein even the security cameras can monitor your temperature and give you alerts, will be a huge add-on to our workplace. Similarly, talking about the washroom, Jyoti has talked about of the washroom in terms of the taps, for sensorless taps. At the same time, what about the doors? We now their technology wherein we can migrate towards the sensorless or touchless, so towards the touchless doors, wherein with just a wave of your hand, you can access your washroom and the doors can get access. Similarly, sorry, on the meeting room side, what about the technology if there are 10 people or 15 people in the room with a capacity of 6 people or 8 people? The camera, the security camera which is installed for your Zoom meetings will help you to notify that look, the capacity of this room is beyond 6 people or 8 people and it is fully utilized. So those are the technology which will help us to enable our business better, to enable to handle this kind of a situation better. And with this technology on what you only talked about, the BMS system, that will now need a lot of skill set and change in FMKRA and the kind of agreements what we get into. So I will pass on to Nirit to talk about the FMKRA or what difference do we see in terms of the service agreements for that matter.
Yeah, I just want to get on to one more topic before that. So I really want to, Nachiket, you briefly touched upon this topic on terms of managing the new model operations. As we look at touch-free solutions emerging, it's the question of providing an enhanced experience to the employees. We spoke about making it QR-based. So what's the scope of digitization as we look at services? We briefly touch upon building engineering services, which is a very critical segment right now, and it has got a lot of manual intervention in terms of spoke about log sheets being signed, like physical documentation, checking of the UPS, walking past the rooms, a lot of ways in which every company has different ways of managing it. So what is the scope of digitization in FM services to manage from touch to touch-free services? What is it for the team who's supporting us? How should we enable them? I want to pass this question to Nitish. If you can take this, Nitish.
Yeah, thanks, Revana. Thanks, Renuka. Thanks, Basu, extending an invitation to me. it's an important topic. Like as you said, today a lot of process are there, a lot of manual things are happening. What I look at in this juncture, like what we are talking about touchless services, can we look at something like standardizing the existing process? If you see currently or previously before COVID, a lot of manual and duplicate process are there. We are looking something like we can look at the doing the process reengineering. By doing that, we can standardize the existing process. Also, we can do with digitization, like restroom management or the transportation, even event management, material movement. So many things are there. So if you keep if you move away with the manual process, definitely it will add a lot of value, and also we can create a touchless services. What I feel.
Yeah, thank you. Sachin, would you have anything to add on to this topic?
I had some inputs here. See, we are talking about bringing in digitization. Today, digitization is not just about processes. Of course, they are important too and very, very critical too. But if we can bring in a certain amount of digitization from the perspective that, let's say, we are talking about doors and the hardware that comes onto doors, and if these items it's not just about doors and hardware. It could also be about lifts. It could be about gates. It could be about sensor barriers which are used. It could be about probably something that is involved inside the access control platforms that are involved. And if these systems could actually start communicating in advance with the FMs, what that would mean is that they start giving out advance warning that yes, look, there is a chance that there could be a possible failure that is coming inside, or it's time for us to service this particular door. Preventive maintenance needs to come inside, or maybe a particular spare that needs to come inside. If these are things which can come through, I think we will be able to move from site to site in a slightly different manner, where advanced informations are running around and things are getting sorted automatically. So this brings in a very great amount of a reduction from touch to touch free. I think that is something that we need to definitely look at.
Just for my understanding, are we talking about predictive stuff here? Is that part of the scope
Yes.
that you're talking about, Sachin? Yeah.
I'm definitely talking about predictive stuff, and I think that is the way ahead, where doors and things will start speaking. I'm talking about also doors becoming more intelligent. Somebody is approaching at a slower pace. The door might need to open at a slower pace, but if I'm running towards the door needs to open fast. Now that is predictive. If the door can be predictive in its nature in addressing the approach of a person towards it, I think it can also become predictive in knowing what can happen in the future as it operates. There are already products where they restart on their own, they get into a repair mode on their own, they do things on their own without even anybody knowing that something will happen. And those are things that will definitely bring in a lot of ease in terms of reducing, every time something goes wrong, somebody has to come and attend to it. But if something can repair itself, something can give an advance warning that I'm going to fall sick, please take care of me. That's something that is looking into digitization.
Great topic. Great. Thank you, Sachin. This brings me to the next question that I have. And as of now, we spoke about people, we spoke about employees, people whom we support, and the people who are supporting us. How, as we evolve, we spoke about technology, we did touch upon digitization. My next question will be, how is it going to change the scope of services that is currently there as part of the, like services that we are availing in the industry? And does it also speak about the teams that are supporting us? Are we talking about upskilling? Is that going to be a requirement of the future? Because whatever has taken us so far, it definitely needs some kind of reinvention or reinventing in that space and reskilling to stay relevant. So just want to hear your thoughts on that. Nitish, over to you, and I would like to have Nagendra adding on to that topic.
Sorry, you're talking about procurement, Renuka?
Yes.
Okay, like if I talk about sourcing and procurement today, you know that it is playing a
The
bigger role.
KPIs, I'm just adding KPIs and SLAs to it.
Yeah, before getting into SLA and KPI, I would like to touch upon sourcing and procurement strategy, because what used to be and what is now the new normal, what we call, when we consider touchless or touch-free services. So we need to align our pillars of the supply chain or sourcing, like supplier management, cost, process, compliance, contract, and stakeholder management. How are we aligning with our new priority? What I feel is new priority should be on the resources. How can we bring the lean manpower or staggered manpower in the organization? Or we can look at something like hybrid model. Also we can look at something like realigning our resources, and also how can we bring the technology into all the aspect of FM and non-FM services, so that it will bring the efficiency. Also we can repurpose the capability of the resources of the vendors. How can we do that? How can we take care of resources management? Cost is one of the aspect. How can we bring the efficiency? Not only just spending the money for safety and security, also we need to bring the efficiency. And lastly, how can we have a exclusivity? The exclusivity plays the one of the bigger role. Like example in Brilio, like transportation, we have a exclusive contract for us, so that the vendor can provide the exclusive vehicle to Brilio. This vehicle will be parked within the premises, and whenever we required, we use and bring them back to the offices, or we bring them to offices wherever we are there. So these are the priority wherein we need to bring in with when it comes to sourcing and procurement. Also we need to keep safety and security as a paramount of our approach. So I feel these are the activity where we need to bring in and move forward in new way of working, a new normal.
Totally agree.
Okay,
And I think there's a lot of change that's coming. And again, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. So actually, when you sit across with your integrated facility management service provider or your vendor partner, next time when you reopen the office across the table for discussion of SLA and KPI, it is definitely not going to be how it was 3 or 4 months ago, right? We will not be talking about whether the housekeeping staff had the uniform, whether the 100% attendance was there, and whether the east wing restroom was cleaned. We're definitely not going to talk about these things. We are, or there was something which was actually called as VAS, value add services, which used to be very, very negligent. I mean, which was one of the most negliged part of this entire SLA and KPI review. That is going to take the front seat now. When you're sitting with your vendor partner, he will have to talk about the during this pandemic, how is he going to support you? What are all the we talked about a lot of this technology and automation, right? How much of those things he can actually bring it on the table, and he can reskill his staff. For example, the segregation of this, hazardous waste and the usage of masks and all of these things will increase, right? In the normal course of time, the housekeeping staff used to just segregate the waste, and they used to dispose it. Now it is not going to be the same. Now the new world order is not going to be the same. They will have to upskill, and they will have to know how to do this hazardous waste segregation, and how to differentiate between hazardous and non-hazardous waste. So these are some of the things. And then some of the value add services that will be expected out of the vendor partners would be that how are they going to make this touchless experience exclusive to the particular client. Like Nitesh made a good point about having an exclusive transport vendor, right? Having the dedicated transport vehicles. Similarly, what are all the exclusive solutions that they can bring on the table to make this, a touch-free workplace also a beautiful workplace for the employees to work. So these are some of the things that I think is going to change in terms of SLA and KPI. The value add services, like I said, is going to take the front seat, which was always neglected all this while.
Also, Renuka, I would like to add a few more points. I think I missed out. Like when we talk about change in the new vendor, also we are going to bring the new set of the vendor. And also SLA is going to change, what Nagendra has mentioned, and matrix is going to change, and SOPs are being changed. Pre-COVID and post-COVID, there is a change in that. And also complaints, like nowadays government, respective government is implementing a lot of complaints to the respective corporate. We need to ensure that we need to adhere to those complaints. Also sourcing of the appropriate vendor, like today everyone is selling everything. We need to see how can we bring the right vendor for right product and right price. That is one of the changes going to see over a period. And also the technology, AI and QR technology is going to play a bigger role. And finally, cost is also going to add, because safety is being the paramount aspect in our procurement and sourcing. So cost is going to add up. So these are the a couple of items is going to bring in the change in our approach.
QR, some of the things that I'm picking up is QR codes are here to stay.
Yeah.
Mobile,
And
people have to self-manage. Like many things will be on your mobile instead of asking somebody else for support. Maybe we have to be self-reliant and self-managing a lot of stuff as we go ahead. So,
yeah, and also not necessarily, Renuka, that the cost would go up. So probably, that is one of the other key things that is going to change as part of SLA and KPI, right? While we can, bring in a lot of solutions which will cost us a bomb, we expect all of these, service providers or the vendor partners to give us a solution which fits into our budget and which does not overshoot our budget. So that is something, which will, again, it'll also be part of the value add services re-engineering again.
I totally agree. I don't think there'll be, it'll be always like cost optimization that will be driving us as we go ahead.
Also with the cost optimization, we are not going to extend your AMCs. We are trying to extend the warranty period of the particular equipment, so that we know that what is the utilization of each equipment, so that we can take call. Also in terms of real estate, we are not planning to expand further. We will be there wherever it is. In case of any expansion, we need to justify thoroughly. Also, we need to relook at the existing lease. Some of the lease is going to come for a renewal. Do we require to renew or not, or we need to close those locations? These are the thought process is going to come up in this new way of a normal working. Renuka.
Great points, and I'm also taking some notes because I think certain things it's giving me also some ideas right now. Thank you. My next question, as we look at like these initiatives, we look at technology, we look at digitization, we look at reskilling or upskilling the teams that we have, is also on sustainability initiatives and waste management. As we started, I did hear the fact that, the number of masks are going to increase, and then we will have to have another waste bin coming in. We need to manage the waste much more better. And then because it is going to be a touch-free solution, how do we, there'll be a lot of the plastics that are going to come in. How are we going to give water? So all these stuff, that single-use plastics and other things that is being spoken about, I'm not sure whether it's still being spoken, but this is something that we heard right in the beginning. But this will be a challenge on waste management and our sustainability goals and the initiatives that we have been driving. So what is your thought on that? How do you want to take it forward? Is that the way to go forward, or we should, as we go touch-free, is there a better way of managing the cafeteria services, the pantry services, as well as managing the waste? And how do we contribute to the environment? I would like Nitish to take this topic, if he's okay with.
Yes, as you said that pre-COVID and pro-COVID, these are the material is going to come up, because safety is being the paramount. And I don't think so in this point of time we can decide to reduce, but how can we control, in the sense, how can we dispose in a better manner, because this is going to come up on the particular corporate. How can we dispose in a better manner? What is the protocol we are going to follow to dispose this? I think as of now we need to focus more on disposal than the control, what I feel so.
And Nagendra, would you want to add on to that?
I agree with Nitish. Disposal is going to be the key, but however, control also plays a equal important role. So basically, it's going to be a completely paradigm shift when people come back to office, right? They will find the restrooms paperless. So basically, we will go for sensor-based taps, and one of the major important points that you brought up was the reusable masks, right? So masks is going to be the new normal whenever employee comes into the office. So as an organization, how are we going to ensure that we control and dispose it scientifically? So basically, we can look at issuing reusable masks, washable masks. So that is going to be the new normal. So we need to keep sufficient stock, and we need to keep educating the employees about the hazardous part of disposing this mask, and then we should encourage them to use this reusable mask. And one other point was bring your own bottle. So earlier, there was a tech concept called as BYOD, right? Similarly, there's some, we will come up with BYOB, bring your own bottles to work. So basically, we are going to get rid of all the, probably we would have kept some steel glasses, and we would have kept some, paper glasses. We would actually probably get rid of or keep very minimal of those things, and then, ask employees to get their own bottles. And moving
cups.
from there,
and cups.
Sorry?
And cups if they want to.
Yes, and cups, yeah, and mugs, personalized mugs, right? As one-time investment, an organization can invest and give the personalized mugs, and which is very dearer to the employees, which I have seen in my 20 years of experience. And moving on from there, the dustbins, which I'm sure most of the organizations would have gone for a, bay-wise dustbins. Now I'm sure, we are not in the same old school of thought where each and every desk used to have this dustbins. I think, we will have a bay-centric or a floor-centric. In our case, actually, in Telstra, we have just 3 dustbins for the entire floor of almost 43,000 square feet. It is not only about keeping that just 3 dustbins. It is also driving that culture amongst the employees, and making them sensitized about this paradigm shift that is going to happen from touchless to touch free, from touch to touch free. Yeah, in the workplace. Yeah. So, and the waste segregation, of course, that will also play an important role. And last point is on the transport. So basically, this is our individual opinion, and I'm not sure how many companies would have adopted to such arrangements. We are looking at making sure that whoever employees can work from home, and only critical resources we are planning to get to office when we reopen. And we are not planning to start the transport operations for, let's say, 3 or 4 months till all of this thing get stabilized. That also contributes towards the sustainability initiative and also it's safe, right? When I travel in my own car, I'm more confident than in sharing the cab with somebody else. So these are some of the things in terms of sustainable initiatives that I can think of, Renuka and Nitish.
Anybody else wants to add on?
I just want to add one piece from, again, I go back to the people here. Our people who handle these wastes, how do we upskill them? How do we train them in handling these wastes? Because these are hazardous wastes. Now we're talking about masks. How do they collect it? What PPEs they should be wearing while handling these wastes? How do they dispose it? All these trainings are very important to be imparted to our frontline warriors. So they take good care of themselves and then our employees in turn.
Absolutely, Nachiket. I think it's a fantastic point.
Yep. So this gets me to the building. So as this is mostly we are like what is immediate for us, and then what are the things that what are the things that will be on priority as we get back to the office, reopen the offices. These are some of the points that we touched, and certain things that we will be working on in the coming few months and will have a long-term impact. The next space or the target aspect is on building specs or the building due diligence or the projects that we are doing. Some of the specs that we would have given in terms of a building, and it will trying to do the interiors, will go through a change as we look at this. And like Sachin mentioned, I mean, do we go from touch-based doors to touchless doors? Is that can we change the specs at this point of time? Then what are the EHS aspects or the safety aspects during construction? The specs for the lifts can change. The restrooms can change. And what is said, we may also, as we look at the due diligence of the buildings, I am sure that some of us must be already thinking like what are the additional points that we may want to add as we look at the building due diligence over and above what is existing. There could be other additional points that maybe want to get tick mark on. Throw some light on this from your end as to what are your initial thoughts on this. I know that that's a huge topic and we may not be able to cover about a lot of it, but just your initial viewpoints and how do you want to manage this, or what are your thoughts if that's an opportunity that is there in front of you, that you're managing a project or you're looking at a space or moving from one space to another, what could it be? Ashish, or who wants to go ahead with that?
Thanks, Sunika. So yes, this is the far more the important question in our life today. When we talk about transition, when we talk about the buildings, and when we're talking about workplace, end of the day, the first thing is the building where we enter. While we can have a swanky office inside by spending 8,000 rupees a square feet or 2,000 rupees a square feet, the range, whatever we think of, but choosing the right building, I think that's going to be a very important question. The first thing comes in the mind is when you enter the building is the lift lobby area. What kind of a lift access is going to be? So we are talking about these as going into A grade buildings and technology. That's why we say we have to go for A grade so that technology can be utilized better. We have destination control lift, which is purely touchless, and you don't have to worry about how many times in a day it's been touched because you just have to swipe your card. At the same time, you're talking about the building AHUs. Giving example of Delhi, if we all remember how bad it was with the air quality. I remember when we were scouting buildings in Delhi, my first preference was to go in a building which is maintaining PM 2.5 as low as 25 or 30. And yes, there were buildings in the market or in the industry for that matter. Similarly, the checklist for these buildings will increase. There will be new points getting added. I'm sure the developer these days are getting innovated. They are planning to get technology in place like BIM construction and all, which will help us to have a better workplace and a faster workplace. Going on the project side, I think yes, the project we have to start thinking and look at our facility differently. They are still in organizations who believe the workspace can be built in less than 80 to 90 square feet or probably 100 square feet. That is not possible now anymore. We have to have a better workspace. At the same time, we have to think that what technology we are putting in our design which can be used better, be it your reception, internet touch-free entrance. You talk about your cameras, you talk about your security cameras, you talk about your meeting rooms, you talk about the cafeteria. These will have a significant role to play. Yes, this might have an impact on your capex, but at the same time we need to see whether we want to choose a capex model or an opex model. But project, and I'm sure architects are working in and out to make sure how technology can get in place with a better workplace design, and I'm pretty sure this will happen.
Great.
Renuka, I would like to add just one point to that. So yeah, I think when some of these architects have been designing some of these projects, I think they had kept some of these points in view. The future world can be a touchless and things like that. So one of the things that we have implemented as a best practice, I just wanted to share that. In fact, two. So basically, we are working on enabling the Bluetooth enabled access readers. So basically, at 100 meters distance, when an employee is coming, as a normal conventional entry into the office, he doesn't have to open up his ID card and swipe. So basically, at a range of 100 meters, the doors will open up. The access reader is actually built in with that kind of a technology. We just have to do a software upgradation to our access control system. The moment it is done, I will integrate my credentials in my smartphone. and while coming into the office, I just enabled my Bluetooth, and I can just walk freely in the office without even swiping my access card anywhere. The second one, yeah, and also now if you compare that with the existing situation, right? People doesn't have to queue up in front of the door to swipe their ID cards. So basically, when they're walking in, and you will not have this tailgating problem also. At the 100 meters distance itself, the software will read their credentials, and then it is recorded. So all of those things are taken care of. The second point is on the restroom cleaning, right? One of my co-panelists made a fantastic point that we need to keep our frontline warriors very safe, right? So we are also exploring a technology wherein this was supposed to be, this will be part of our new project, which is upcoming. We are looking at integrating this solution in the restrooms, wherein depending upon the, hazardous levels or the, poisonous gas levels inside the restroom, we are planning to implant some sensors which can actually trigger an alert on the mobile of the housekeeping supervisors. And like how we do now, every half an hour, whether the restroom is cleaned or whether the restroom is clean or not clean, we are actually going there, and our team is getting exposed. So with this new technology getting implemented, probably until unless there is a definite need for the restroom to be cleaned, we don't even require our people to go there and get exposed. So these are some of the things that will change in due course to come in the projects, and probably architects and project managers, and like Sachin was rightly mentioning, if we should actually partner with grade A builders to make all of these things happen.
Great points.
Just an addition over here, Renuka, is going to be when we are looking at new projects today and the way they are coming through, few things which can never be compromised on is one is about fire, life safety, security. These are things which cannot be compromised on. But as these continue to remain important, suddenly because of the situations that we are going through today, the conditions outside, hygiene is now taking one more seat over there on the same table. And since it is going on to a higher position, it's demanding us to look at it from a very different angle. What I'm trying to intend here is we are talking about physical distancing. We are talking about segregated movement. And all this we have to do without compromising on safety and security. And also understanding that sometimes employees today are speaking about that, I don't want to use a lift. I probably want to, it's just 2 floors. I want to just walk it up. It gives me a little amount of exercise to walk it up. If I need to go to the 2nd floor or to the 3rd floor, if they are going to use the staircases, then how are we going to allow them to enter into the staircases or come back into the offices without any compromise on security? At the same time, without compromising in terms of how the roads are going to operate. So it is going to demand a little different thought process, knowing how these things can be integrated into not only the BMS cycles, but also into the employee user point of view. So it should not be that it is complicated for them to use. I think these are going to be very, very practical approaches, and we definitely look at partners who would understand what needs to be done and how this needs to be provided, not from the just the capex point of view, but also from the operations and the ease of use point of view.
Totally agree. And I think is there anybody else who wants to add on any more points? I'll just summarize before we'll go on to the Q&A.
So one more point, adding to Nagendra what he mentioned, IoT is going to play a significant role in this.
Yeah.
So IoT is going to be a big game changer, I would say, especially in terms of the facilities and workplace, how we operate. And I think with the right set of technology in place and integration of IoT in the workplace, gonna be a huge blessing for us, that how we manage the workspace. So yes, that will be one important aspect to look at.
Great. I really want to appreciate all of you for bringing in your valuable points. It's very clear that while we speak about touch-free workplace, the change is multidimensional. It's impacting every aspect of it, starting from as we talk about people, the people whom we are supporting, the employees with whom we work with, as well as the teams that who are supporting us to make things happen, who make us successful, all of them are going through a change. The experience itself is changing. It will have an impact. The technology is really going to come in a big way. Technology, digitization, how we look at the way we have been doing things is going to change. We definitely would have a change from, as we are we looking at efforts, or are we looking at outcome-based services? That's going to be another big impact. And like you rightly mentioned, we are moving from preventive to predictive. Then in terms of like extending the sustainability initiatives, that we cannot be, while there is definitely going to be a change, but still we need to be focused on the sustainability initiatives that we want to achieve, as well as we look at projects and as we look at new buildings. I'm sure that we'll have many more items that's going to come into our checklist. Thank you all. This was very diverse and very interesting. With that, Basavaraj, I really want to open up for Q&A.
The first question is from Prashant. Introducing various sensors and touchless access points look interesting. I have a query with the cost incurred in deploying the technology and equipment, impact on CapEx and OpEx, any changes in them, how much effort it took you to convince the client or your organization. Also, few of them which are temporary to have their employees work from home are felt overrun expenditure for now.
Sorry, Basu, I think you need to repeat the question. It was not clear.
Okay. So the question is from Prashant. Introducing various sensors and touchless access points looks interesting. I have a query with the cost incurred in deploying the technology and equipments, impact on CapEx and OpEx, any changes in them, how much effort it took you to convince your client or your organization. You can be both service provider or within the organization. Also, few of them which, like maybe they are just a temporary need to have their employees work from home or felt overrun expenditure for now. So it is talking about impact and CapEx and OpEx. How are you going to convince your management? And most of the companies are also looking at maybe should we have people work from home or should we get them back to work? So how is it going to be overrun in our expenditure?
So yes, it is. I'll take this up, and my panelists can help me to add on to it. Yes, it will certainly add to cost. Cost is definitely there, but if we talk about sensors, how you place your technology in place, that is important. How you deploy your technology, that is important. And if we talk about capex versus opex model, there are a lot of vendors in the market, or there are a lot of partners, I should say, in the market, who are instead of capex model, they are ready to go to the opex model. Coming back to the point of how you can convince your management, I think it's a very clear question, and it's a very clear answer to the management. If we were ready in terms of the facilities for this kind of a pandemic, and if we have integrated technology with in our facilities, we will not have worried about it. Sorry, there's someone at the background.
So, Basu, I think you can mute everyone.
Yeah, please mute everyone except Ashish.
Thank you. So yes, there will be a cost, and going back to your leadership and convincing them, you need to first understand what is the cost delta which is coming on your books, what is the ROI, and there's nothing more than employee health and safety, and there's nothing more than an employee experience. So I would say you need to identify the areas where you want to focus first, and that's how you need to go back to your leadership and talk about costs.
I just want to address the later points. So basically, will it not be a overrun? So yes, it will definitely be a overrun. So you need to sit across, if you're part of the boardroom discussion with your leadership team, you will have to get the definite answer from your leadership team as to when we are looking at, opening the workplaces. Unless you have a clear view, I would not suggest anybody to take up this capex and opex. It is like, you enter into a shopping mall and you see so many shops there, right? You get tempted, with the given situation, you get tempted that, there are so many products, and which one should I pick up and which one should I not pick up is up to you. So you will have to make that conscious decision. Before making that conscious decision, you will also keep in mind that when you are resuming your employees back to work.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you, Nagi.
Also, I would like to add why we need to question ourselves. Why are we trying to make an investment, whether capex or opex? Because the scenario as such that, as I mentioned already, safety and health aspect is paramount for us. Having this in our mind, if we convince ourselves, we can always go back to the management, tell them why are we doing that. That is one part. And second thing, if you look at the future is going to become a virtual world. That means everything is driven by the technology. If you add a technology, directly or indirectly, there will be efficiency for the operation. So I think you should go and tell them what are the benefit organization is going to get. So you can convince and get the approval from the management.
Thank you, Nitish. And we have a question from Sunil. Thanks, panelists, for your use. However, don't we think by automating the workplace, the maintenance would be challenged with more sensor-based product around us? I think maybe Sachin, if you can take up this question, because you're also from the industry. One is the capex, we're discussing about the capex, and maintaining this sensor-based equipment is also going to be a costly affair for us. So, or anybody else can take it.
Yeah, sensor-based items, of course, as one point is about the maintenance that it will come with it. But I'm also saying that when we invest in the right type of it, I think then the maintenance costs are always going to be. When I'm speaking of type, is understanding what needs to be used where and at what quality is it coming. What is is this a product that is certified, or is this a product that is just off the shelf? So these are some important factors that need to be known. Also, we need to look at, I'll place it this way. We can use a sensor just to open a door, or we can use a sensor to open the door, also monitor if there is somebody standing in the line of the door, and also to ensure that the fingers don't get pinched. Now, it could be a sensor that can be used in a multiple manner. It could be a sensor that we just wave our hand and it opens the door. But in case let's say the sensor is not working, does it have an alternate route? For example, can it also have a push button that we just push the same sensor? It acts like a button and allows the door to be open. So it could be multi-use. So when we are selecting, are we selecting with that viewpoint? If it is with that viewpoint, that it can be put to multiple use. If it can be of a better quality, if it is something that is certified, I think the life is going to be better. The maintenance costs are going to be better. And second point which comes to my mind is that if we are investing in these sensors, we also need to assess why are we investing into it. And from that perspective, I think the cost will not be that prohibitive.
Thank you, Sachin, for your insight.
But so I think we are overrunning the time. So probably, Renuka, how many questions are we going to take is something, which we need to decide. I think you're on mute, Renuka.
Another 2 questions and we should be able to wrap this up.
Okay. Let me take. How do you manage a cafeteria and pantry in a safe manner? What is the thought process behind managing the cafeteria and pantry to be used while ensuring the safety aspects of employees? Maintain the social distance staggered timing for different groups split in the groups.
Nitish, you want to go ahead with that?
Yeah, like you can mute it. The cafeteria part, as someone has mentioned, we need to look at something like how can we, bring only the staggered timing for only few verticals. Bringing everybody will have a problem on the social distancing norm. So what I feel that one first and foremost in considering current scenario, I think we should encourage employee to bring their own food. That is one part. Second part, we should not allow any kind of outside food by ordering online order or something like. If at all employee needed food services, we need to prepare ourselves and they need to order in the beginning itself. Like when they come into the office premises, we need to give the menu, basic minimum menu, where they can choose, and accordingly we can organize in a staggered time. That is one part. In terms of pantry, I think what I feel that we should go with the technology wherein QR code enabled. Whenever they go to the pantry, just they can use the on the go or some kind of app. They can just show it to the the vending machine, and they can dispense whatever they want. So that we can maintain the social distance. Also, we can look at something like touch-free pantry services. These are the thought process what I am thinking in this moment.
Thank you. Thanks, Nitish. And if I can add on to what Nitish said, and these are
Thank you,
great
Nitish. I
points.
think we'll take one more question.
Yeah,
which
can I
is
add on one more point, Renuka?
Yeah, so I thought let's
Can I add on one more point?
and close. All the questions which are unanswered,
Mr.
we'll work
Viraj.
with all the panel members and try to give an update. So this question is, what is the approach to deal with employee concerns, bursting fear on return to work? And this is, I thought, more appropriate because we've been talking about strategy and all. How do we bring in the confidence? And Nitish also discussed about cost of confidence, safety, cost of safety. So I think anyone can take this and say that what will be doing to bring in the confidence and how to address these concerns.
I think I would like to take this question.
Busting the fear, concerns and busting the.
First and foremost, we need to engage employees by sharing the information. First and foremost, we need to understand the cycle of the employees. When they leave the house and coming to the office and go back to the office, what and all things make our example when they come to the office, like while they're using a transportation. How are we ensuring the safety in the transportation? In case if the employee is going to choose the company transportation, what and all safety aspect we are going to cover, so that they will have some kind of confidence that, oh, when I'm using the company transportation, I'm safe. Similar, when they come, there are a lot of protocols or social distancing norms. Like example, checking their temperature, checking their pulse, by using the oximeter. When they come inside, also we need to ensure that they go under all the norms, like seating arrangement or the food arrangement. Also giving the required information, like if something goes in the office, what and all preventive precautionary measure we are going to take care and ensure that their safety and security. So that these are the continuous communication we need to engage with the employees, so that we can bring confidence in the employees, so the fear factor may take away from the employee's mind. What I think.
Yeah, I would add on to the importance of communication over here, because communication is going to play a huge role. And
thank you, Nitish. Renuka, if you
yeah,
want to conclude.
Can you hear me? I've been trying to talk. Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm saying I've been trying to talk for the next earlier question as well. This was on that cafe topic. If I can start off on that, to add to the point what Nitish said, I think one more aspect is, like, many of the cafes do have buffet services. They could self-serve, and that may not be an option in the immediate future as we look at safety. And one is minimal options in food services, as well as maybe if you had a salad bar and self-service and all that, maybe it may not be, it's difficult to continue that in the current way as we look at it. That's one. And to get on to the last point, the last question that we had, communication definitely is going to play a huge role. Like there's a lot of trust between the employer and the employees. And how do we take that forward? How do we build on that? And how do we take it forward? And how important is communication? It cannot be stressed more. This is an important aspect of everything that we are going to do. And bringing in employees itself and to understand their viewpoint also is going to play an important role, and addressing that as we build up the communications. To wrap it up, thank you so much to Basavaraj, to everyone in the panel, to the esteemed audience. A big thank you for being part of the session, and really had a lot of insights and a lot of new points and lots to learn. A great webinar on touch-free workplace. Thank you so much. Thanks, Basavaraj, for bringing us together.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Renuka.
everyone.
Thank you, audience.
Thank you,
Happy
everyone.
weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe, stay strong.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thanks for the nice session.
Thanks. It was a nice session.